It's loading.
I think we're live.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we are live now.
Yeah, we're live.
So stage is yours.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Hi.
thank you so much hosting this session, Divya. We're really grateful at Thousands Faces. And thanks, Magnus and Anupa, for joining us. So if you could give us just a little bit background about HQ NFTs, Divya, that would be really great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Divya. I'm the CEO and co-founder of HQ NFTs. Well, HQ NFTs is the Wix for NFTs, pretty much what we say. There are only about a few 100,000 blockchain developers, and there are about 18 million web developers. So really impossible to scale this sort of ecosystem if not for no-code platforms. And we are a no-code platform. You could use the no-code platform to create anything from PFP art to DAOs to audience engagement, NFTs, POAPs, and a whole lot of other sort of engaging NFT digital assets, basically. So having said that, I'll go straight into DAOs and PFP NFTs because it's really one of my most favorite sort of subjects within the NFT space, because I feel like we don't appreciate PFP NFTs as much as we should, because there is a huge sort of capability and numerous possibilities with PFP NFTs. All right. So what is, let's go back to basics, right? So what is a DAO and what is a PFP NFT, right? And why do we think that PFP NFTs are a great choice for DAOs? Well, the word D in the DAO is for decentralized, meaning the organization mostly is structured and managed around by the blockchain. There are various ways of doing it. Some people use tokenomics, some people use NFTs, and really the choice is left to the DAO and the way you want to structure your DAO. And why is it so powerful? More so because it gives more, it gives power back to, and puts power back in the hands of everyday ordinary people, or everybody. Everybody has got an equal say in what can or cannot be done, or what social impact causes as an organization that we need to support, and all of this. And so it makes it very exciting, at the same time extremely democratized. And that's the power of a DAO. And you can achieve it in many which ways, as we were just as I was just saying. And what is a PFP NFT, right? So we've seen a whole lot of excitement within this space, starting from the crypto punks to the Bored Apes, then World of Women, now Thousand Faces, and you have a whole lot of PFP projects out there. And why does it make it so interesting and exciting? That's the piece that we need to really understand and appreciate. The key reason is these NFTs actually have a very beautiful structure in the back end. Like for instance, there are a set layers, and within the layers you have set traits, right? So you can define these layers, each of these layers, to be a department or a role or a responsibility. So we'll go into the details of it in the next couple of slides, but this kind of sets the scene for what is a DAO, what is a PFP NFT. Yeah. If you have any questions, if you feel like asking, just go ahead and straight away ask the question, or I can always wait to the end of the call. So this is like not all DAOs have the same sort of roles and responsibilities. This is like an example of what is possible, right? So within a DAO, you could have a core team, you could have community leaders, you could have voting members, developer evangelists, and you could have general members. Now, the real beauty of this PFPs is that we can define each of these departments or each of these roles and responsibilities using the attributes in the layers in a PFP. So like, for instance, we could have, let's say, a golden background. All individuals who have a golden background could be co-members. All individuals who have a pink background could be community leaders. All individuals who have a green background could be voting members, and so on and so forth. And then again, within the developers, you could have developers with a purple background, but you could have very specific traits that could say they are a 3D evangelist or a metaverse evangelist or a Discord specialist or a Telegram specialist. So this is just an example of what is possible. Yeah, you can basically take it and make it your own, depending on what you are trying to do and your DAO's needs. Yeah. Is this sort of, is any questions so far at all? Okay. We'll just go straight to the platform itself, because there's a lot that, we've done enough of theory. We've always seen a lot of theory. Now actually let's do some practical stuff, right? And see how it can be, how engaging and how fun it can be, when you're doing this. So let me just pause it for a bit when I bring up my the platform. Stop sharing. All right. Okay. So let me share again. Right. So we'll just head straight to the platform and log in. Right. So we go to create NFT collectibles. That's what they are really. They are collectibles which have got unique traits. So we go straight into the platform. And here you can actually say, create your collection. So when you're creating this collection, it's nothing but you're creating a PFP NFT collection. And this PFP NFT collection can be just a PFP NFT collection without any roles, any responsibilities. It can be just a simple project that's done for the fun of it. Or it could really have some sort of a value behind it, like a DAO, or a DAO specifically for voting, for social impact and all of that as well. So how do we create these collections? Now you can click on the create collection. Actually, let me just, that's all right. Yeah, let's click on create collection. I wouldn't really worry too much about these minting and such at this point, because that's something to do after we have built the platform. Yeah, so I wouldn't really worry about it. Now let's just ignore the collection type and all of that, and even the private and public. Now the key bits are down here. What's your collection name? So 1,000 Faces, that's the name of the PFP project, and this which we are all part of in some ways. And so that will be the name of the collection over here. Let's say there must be a symbol. So just like Bored Ape Yacht Club is associated with BA, Bored Ape, Bored Ape, BAYC, isn't it? So you will also kind of have to come up with a symbol for the particular project, and then describe the project. What does the project do, right? It could have different. So if you look at the Pudsey Penguin, when they launched the project, it didn't have any specific theme or any specific idea behind it. They were just a bunch of NFTs that were just dropped. But if you look at World of Women, they say it's all about inclusivity, collaboration, and it's all about women bringing people from different sort of backgrounds together. Similarly, for 1,000 Faces, it's very similar, where it is bringing people. It's all about inclusivity and such. So you've got to define your collection. Why is all of these three important? Because this, whatever you define here, is going to sit on the blockchain. If you say this is the name of your project, this is your symbol, and this is your description forever, or as long as the chain is live, it's going to be on the blockchain. So it's very critical that you get this right. Yeah. And then you can also add a banner to go with it. banner is nothing but just the banner that appears on every page on any website, like where these NFTs are showcased. So I've already done all of these, and I just go down here. If you look at this, if they edit, so you can see this. I've done. This is my first DAO. I'm calling it a DAO. I'm saying this is my. I mean, just describing this. No particular for voting on social CEO causes, right? And then you can just update it, right? Now is the real fun, sort of exciting piece, really. Then you go to the art engine, right? So you go to the art engine. For now, let's not worry about what this means. This only means that, do you want to, create a, set number of NFTs, or do you want to use percentage base? So we'll just take percentage base now. We'll go into details of what that means, maybe, a little later. So now what you can do is you can click on add layers. I'm just going to pause. Give me a second. I need to find the folder, basically. Yeah, got it. So there we go. So here is my NFT collection that I've already created. So I've gone to Photoshop and I've created all my layers. What does that mean? You can see that I have got the background, the planet, the retina, the nose, lips, hair, all of this already pre-created using Photoshop. Now, how do I use it? I can literally click on that particular folder. This is already created in Photoshop, right? So I just click on the folder, open it up in on the platform. Now, do you see, like, you're slowly building a structure? On the side, you can see how the NFT is kind of taking shape.
Hey Divya, there's a question from the crowd.
Yeah.
So is there a way to automate layer creation, or does this need to be done manually before adding them?
We have an option to import. So we have an option, but I also want to show both, just in case people are, like, aware how to do both, because some people might like the whole concept of having layers, but so we also have an option where you can import a PSD file. Yeah. And you also have an option where let's say you're creating these NFTs, right? After you're creating the NFT, then you just want to save it somewhere. You can do that as well. You can just click on export. Say you're midway of working on this particular NFT. You can just hit the export button and save it somewhere for use later on as well. Is that any more questions?
No, that's it for now. I hope that questions. Thank you for answering that. Carlota, if you have any other question, please feel free to write it in the chat.
So here are some interesting bits and pieces, like, for instance, the face, right? When you build out the face, it could overlay on top of everything else. So you can actually push it up, so it kind of sits behind everything else. Right here. So the glasses comes right on the top. So yeah, there you go. So you can play around like this until you get to a place where everything is in place. And then what you can do is There you go. And so as you can see that now it's, it's more, it kind of, the layers have to sit in such a manner, you kind of build the layers in such a manner that it sits, one below the other in the order in which it's supposed to make sense. Like, for instance, you got to have the background as the highest, or the topmost layer, on top of which you sit, the bottommost layer, on top of which sits the face, the eyes, the glasses, and so on and so forth, right? So now, in between all of this, once you've completed your work and you want to come back to it at a later point in time, you can simply export, and you can always import it back like this. Say import, and you can import this layer over here like this, and wherever you last left off, that piece of work is still there with you for you to kind of progress, right? So for now, I'm going to remove these layers, right? And then I'm just going to import something that I already built out for this particular webinar. Here you go. So here we have the NFTs, the different, each of this is a layer. This is a layer, and these are the traits within the layer, right? And again, this is the layer, this is the astronaut suit layer, and you have, these are the traits within the layer. Similarly, you have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I mean, you could go to town with the number of layers. Now, an important thing to bear in mind when you're creating these collections is that you should know how many layers you need to create how many of our NFTs that you want. Let's say you might want to create a 10,000 collection, a total of 10,000 NFTs. And while you might start small, but as a starting point, you just want to create 10,000 NFTs and set it aside. So as your DAO grows, you want to keep adding more people to the DAO. Rather than creating a collection every time new people come to your platform, you just create a collection of 10,000. And this is a calculator which helps you calculate how many layers you need and how many traits you need to come up with that 10,000 NFTs, as you can see over here. Yeah. So here, if I say, let's see what happens if I say 5, 5, 5, and 5. So you get to 625 NFTs. Right. So you can, there's also a calculator that you can use to calculate your the number of NFTs that particular AI engine will produce. Is that clear? Or is there any questions around it?
There is a question. Is there a way to set rarity for each and every layer?
Absolutely. Yeah, there is. So that's it. Let me go back to the NFTs that I'm looking at. So here you can set the rarity to, let's say, this particular trait at just 1%. You set the trait as 1%. And that would mean that you've got to reset the rest of it. So it is about, I think, 53, 53. Maybe 42. Yeah, that's all. So you can reset, you can set the rarity of the collection, and all of that can be done. Right. So now coming to how can you adapt this to a DAO? That's the key, really. Right. So we did say that you can assign each of these sort of backgrounds as a specific department or a specific role and responsibility. And now you can see how artistic it is. There's a lot of structure, but then how beautiful it is that we're just using images to define these structures, right? That's very powerful because we're literally turning it around on its head And we are doing it the other way around, where normally you have to spend time, effort, and energy to actually define structures. But here, at the very starting point, when you start off the project, if you spend some time thinking through what you want to do, it can be extremely powerful in the way you can create these structures. So let's go back to the, let's go back to the PowerPoint and we said core team, right? So we said there is a core team, there is a community leaders, there are evangelists. So let's take this core team and let's go back here. We can make the golden a core team, and maybe the core team is only about 5% of the overall, right? It's possible, but it could be just 2%. So for now, we'll say it's just 5%. So we can define this. Anybody who has this could be the core team. Then again, it doesn't have to have the specific name. It can be just golden, and you would just assign the roles and responsibility as, the core team. Then what you can do is you can go back in here, and we're looking at the community, right? So there you go. You have your community leaders. So you could define the community leaders to be pink. Go back in here and then say developer evangelist could be purple. Then voting members could be blue. And what else can we think of? In general. So basically these are NFT holders, but they don't have voting rights. So they could be general, could be another color. Now you see, we have created an absolutely amazing NFT collection, which has got value. Like it is on the, if you put this on the Ethereum or the Polygon blockchain, and if you have a community, they'll love to buy it, because it's your community. And if you've got a great sort of rapport with the community and, they believe in you and they believe in the project, they'll buy it. But also along with that, you've already defined the structure. That's the power of these tools, these PFP NFTs as in what is possible with these NFTs. Of course, then again, what you can say is you can further kind of break it down and, have different roles and responsibility. Let's say if it's a combination of having the golden, the community leader, this purple, and if they have this specific suit, then there could be a Discord evangelist. Or if they have a purple background and they have a green suit, there could be a Telegram evangelist, or it could be a metaverse evangelist, an NFT evangelist. So this is how you can kind of look to add more sort of roles and responsibilities and structure within your NFTs. So you're looking at these NFTs beyond just an image. So just with these few steps, what have we achieved? We've managed to create the core team, to identify the core team, who can vote, who are your community leaders, who are your general members, and developers. So once this is done, of course, you can set the rarity, as I was saying over here. You can actually set your rarity over here. Once this is done, you can, any questions here?
No, not as of now. We'll tell the crowd to come up with it.
Great. So as you can see, the AI is already sort of generating this in the back end over here. And when you hit the generate, so it generates these NFTs. So you have about 5% of them, which is for the core team. Everything else is, equally distributed. Of course, in a real world scenario, you might not want, you might need the proportions to be slightly different. So maybe your community managers will be smaller than the voting and the general public, right? General members. So those are the sorts of things that you'll have to look at when you first, defining the structure. Again, there are different types of DAOs. Specifically, when you're looking at DAOs and which are around voting and such, NFTs can be an amazing sort of community builder. At the same time, a great visual PFP to just kind of show that you're part of the community. Last but not the least, it's great for voting as well.
This looks very cool right now. The whole NFT is being generated with each and every trait and base layer.
Exactly. It's amazing. It's amazing. And
Yeah,
yeah.
much easier somehow.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So this is what we believe, and we believe that there are some good tools out there where you can create these collections for sure, but we wanted to remove any sort of challenges around any sort of a friction where there is Web3 or blockchain involved. There are some places where we can't afford, you can't remove it at all. Like for instance, when you're creating a contract, there's not much you can do. You have to kind of go about it. But here we're doing everything seamlessly, so you don't have to go and separately upload to the IPFS. No, in the backend it's already taken care of. And once it's on the IPFS, now we can we can create a contract. Yeah, we have the option to create the contract on Ethereum, Polygon, Testmatic, and also Test Ethereum as well. Now, always, whenever you're creating any of these collections, just like you would do in any project in the real world, you want to test it first, right? Test is the key. So first, do a small set and test it on the test net before you do the actual go into the production. So your production, what is it? So in the standard sort of development, software development space, if you were what is a comparable is that like your user testing and all of that should be done in the test nets. So the Matic Mumbai test net, or the those are the test nets. For Polygon, it's the Mumbai test net. And for Ethereum, it's I think it's one of those. They have those names. I can't remember. One of those test nets can be used. So what is the power of doing something like that is that without spending a single sort of ETH or Polygon or whatever cryptocurrency, you're able to achieve that test before you can actually go ahead and create a collection when you're actually paying, crypto for it. Now here you can, once the NFTs are created, actually I'm just going to go back and I'm going to reduce the size because this is going to take forever to upload. So I'll create a smaller collection. Just going to bring it down to say 100.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to say, because when we did the NFTs, it was kind of like we were testing it with Ashish, our team member, and it was taking a lot of times.
Yeah. So normally for about on this platform for about 500 NFTs, this size it'll take about 15 minutes. So yeah, 500 to 1,000, about 15 to 20 minutes. So I've just put a small set and then you click on upload.
Is there any way to like naming the layers and see like how it will looks like? Because it's also based on the contract that you do. So, for example, if you make a mistake on naming the layers, or like, is there any way to test it before publishing it? Or
Okay, yeah. So ideally, what you need to do is you've run through this a few times because this is the core. So here, if you're not happy with calling it space locations, you want to call it responsibility roles, right? Just put that as roles. So this is a really good example, right? So we would really want this to be called as roles, right? So we want to call this as roles. So you probably want to change this as roles and then update it. But yes, even after this, in the next step, this version doesn't have, but when you click on generate, before it puts it to the IPFS, it'll allow you to change the JSON. But ideally, you don't want to get to that level because it's more easy to do it in this view, because you see the variations are much lesser. If you look at a JSON, right, it'll create. If you want to create a 900 NFT, it'll create 900 NFT JSONs for each of them. Why would you want to go through that instead? Before you get to that point where you're putting it onto the IPFS, make all the changes. And the beauty of the platform is you're not in a rush. You're not rushed. You can simply export it. So if you export it, now I've made this change, right? Let's say let's say today I'm not able to finish it. Let's say this is next day. When I come back the next day, I can simply say import, and it's already here. This is the file. You can see this file will have the role over here, right? So you're not rushed. Spend as much time perfecting this, because this art engine is the key that will define everything from the art to how you want to structure your DAO. So this is the core piece. And now that's done. We can just say, well, actually, I'm just going to bring it down to a bit. No, so. Okay, that's enough. Right. We'll just have 2 departments and that's fine. Yeah. There you go. So that's 18. So let's just generate it now. That's done. You can review all of this. In the next version, we'll allow you to edit. But ideally, as I was saying, you want to do all your edits before you come here. You can see here, all the metadata is available over here. So you can just click through and you can see the metadata over here. If you still want to change it, you can change it. But ideally, you don't want to make individual changes. You want to make the changes at the trait and the layer level. So it's clear, especially because when you put it through these platforms like OpenSea, Rarible, or any of these, or even any of the ranking platforms like Rarity Ranking or any of these platforms, they would prefer to see that these traits are common across. You know, the traits and layers are common across. You know, if you have, let's say, a trait, a layer that is not there across the platform, it might just confuse the system, and it will not understand that structure. Yeah. So then you upload this file to the IPFS. Again, you can see it's so seamless. You just wouldn't know there's anything actually happening in the back end at all.
Are there any few things that one should take care of or think about, like a common mistakes that someone might face when creating this traits and NFTs with the layers?
I think just what we were discussing a few minutes ago, that's the biggest. Spend time defining the structure. Rather take 5 or 6 days where you brainstorm with your team and say, what do we think of the structure? Because you can, like the suit, right? You could have the purple suit that you could use in combination with the department for, let's say, for the department of for content evangelists. It could be, you could use those 2 suits for one for 3D evangelist and for Discord. And the same 2 traits, you can use it for when you are looking at another sort of roles and responsibilities for the core team. It could be something completely different. So you've got to structure this first, because that's the most important piece. So I would say before you put it onto the IPFS, be very sort of have a discussion, have a dialogue within the team, because it's a DAO. So you need to have that conversation and then define the structure with as much sort of thought going into it. And also bear in mind, you want this DAO to last a really long time. You don't want to change structures at the very end, or you know, it should stand the test of time. As you're bringing in people, you want it to be, you know, sort of be, you should be able to scale it. So like for example, just to as a starting point, if the DAO is, say, now a 100-member team, you want to have the vision, say, maybe I'm going to grow to 1,000, so, or 10,000. So I want to have that, you know, basic structure in place, and then I'm going to create. So rather than thinking that, oh, I only have 100 now. But again, that could be a different approach. Maybe you, as you're growing, you might just burn this collection and you're going to go a new collection. That's also, there are different approaches. But again, Also remember, these are all costs as well. And if you have already created an NFT collection, you're saying that you've been in the blockchain space at this point in time, right? So you also want to have that sort of value, because all of these are records that stay on the blockchain. So why would you want to burn something which you spend so much time? Because if you are a leader in the space, or if you've done something as very early on, you want to have that sort of value that you can carry forward into the future, right? So now that
makes sense.
Sorry.
That makes sense. You need to have a space to grow, and you need to make sure, like, what's your vision, and after that, take some time to think about it, and then put it into the IPFS.
Absolutely. Also, descriptions and such. Don't think about what you are today. Think what you might be in 5 years time, right? What's the bigger vision? Always look at the bigger picture. Don't be bound by what is now, because that is something that's going to stay as a metadata on the blockchain forever, right? So if your vision is inclusivity, it's about social impact, go back and look at a bird's eye view, go right on the top and see where exactly do you want it to fit. Maybe you start with one aspect of it, but then you will have a bigger vision. And so all of that, you've got to take all of that into consideration as well. And so now that the NFT is on the IPFS, that is, the images are on the IPFS, so it's stitched it all together. Now it goes off as one single NFT and it sits on the blockchain. Now you hit the connect wallet. Okay, let me see which one has it picked up. Right, this is great. Yeah. So as I was saying, it's very important that you do your test before you put it on the mainnet all the time, every time. I would always recommend doing a bit of research around how to use any of these wallets. I have some videos I can share after this as well. So, I mean, it'll be definitely useful. So just get a fair understanding of how to use these MetaMasks and different wallets. Now, there are different chains, as you can see. There is an Ethereum mainnet, Polygon testnet, Polygon mainnet. I don't know how to pronounce this, but this is the testnet for Ethereum. This is also a testnet for Ethereum. So these are all these preset. And sometimes, again, to be aware, this took me a bit of learning, so I'm just shortening your learning curve. So testnet by default is not visible. So you have to, make them visible. So you see now I can't see the testnets. So you've got to make your testnets visible to be able to see it. And to add, again, to add these networks, there is a way to do it. You might not by default have some of these networks. Might not. Sometimes you might, sometimes you might not. If you don't, you have to add the network like this. And if it's already available, you can use straight away. If not, you have to actually add it manually. I will not get into the details of this, but I would recommend, understanding this, because it's important, especially if you want to create a DAO. This is really good information to have. Yeah. So now what we are doing is we are already connected. I'm already signed into MetaMask, as you can see here. This is my MetaMask extension. I'm on the Polygon testnet over here, and I've got about 10 Matic in my wallet, just about enough. So there are ways to get these free Matic. So these are all test Matics. There is a way. I would again say Google a little bit to see how you can get some test Matics, and you should be able to very easily go through the steps. So if for a given day, you'll probably get only something like 2 or 3 Matic that you can transfer on as a test. So, and you can use that to test your NFT collection. So now that I've connected to my Polygon testnet, I can deploy the contract. Yeah, so every transaction needs to be because every sort of data point that moves from one end to the other is a transaction, right? So you need to sign it, or you got to confirm it. You got to pay some gas, right? And so I'm going to say confirm. So this gas that it's paying, this is actually Matic, but it's free Matic because I'm on the testnet, right? But if it's on the real Polygon mainnet, it will be the real Polygon. So there you go, it's confirmed. Now it's creating a contract. This is an ERC 721 is creating. And this contract defines the structure of your DAO, tells the blockchain where the where on the IPFS your images are, all of that. And there you go. So your NFTs are here. You can mint whichever you want. So if you make it public, then people within your organization can just go to the mintable NFT mintable page, and they can just mint it. If you make it private, you have to mint it and send it over to them. Ideally, you want to save on the gas fee. You don't want to again pay money to mint, right? So ideally, you just surf it. This is where, remember I said ignore the public and the private. This is the piece. So if you say public, then it just exposes this entire NFT on the entire DAO on HQ NFT's website, and then they can just click on the NFT that they want, and then they can purchase it. And if you make it public, then you have control. Sorry, if you make it private, you have control. So you might want to say, okay, I'm only giving away this to this person, this NFT to that person, and you can kind of have that sort of control over it. And there are many other approaches, but for now we'll just stick to some simple sort of basics because I don't want to overcomplicate it. Yeah. And so I can just click on the NFT that I want, and I can mint it. And that when I mint it, that is now telling me that either I have minted it for someone as the creator of a DAO, or the individual themselves have come on board and they have minted their collection. So this is really like a quick sort of one-on-one sort of a session where you've gone from the basics to actually seeing how it's created. You've actually seen an end-to-end sort of how this actually works with NFTs. Now, beyond this, now you've created your NFT collection. All of this is great. Now, the next aspect of it is you've got to create you will have a website or a web page where you say that if you have blue, I mean, we already have defined the structure, right? We said green, golden is core team, purple is the creator, content evangelist, and then you have blue as people who have voting rights. So when I say voting rights is, in most cases, you'll see that core team, the evangelists, and the members with voting rights will all have voting rights, while the others have extended privileges, right? That's what I mean. So now when you go, now you need to create a website. That's something we're working on as a next piece as well. So where on the website, you can say now you have as a community, you can come together and say, these are the items on which we want to vote. And you can leave that as as one of the voting items. And then the community who can vote, the core team and the the evangelists can vote on these items. And then again, you can make it even more complex. You can say that sometimes what will happen is if you have too much of the collection, right? If you have almost 50% of the collection, then you have more say. You might say cap it, say, no matter how much you have, I will only count for 10% of what you have, right? Then you're capping it, saying that, so you're making it more sort of democratized, wherein you're saying, okay, if you have, say, 500 of 1,000, doesn't matter. I'm only going to count for 50 of the 500 and everybody else votes matter. So you're bringing down that proportion of that individual who has a huge sort of capital to mobilize, who has a huge capital to mobilize to buy these NFTs. So you're kind of making it more democratized. While you've already done it through this entire voting process, you've again done another step where you're taking care of these huge whales who can kind of completely sway that voting process. Yeah. So this is one of the many ways. There are many, many, many ways of doing it. And this is probably the most simple and the most straightforward way if you're using NFTs for voting. Any questions at all?
That's pretty interesting. No, I mean, not as of now, but that was a really interesting process from the art generation to know how it's gonna get minted. Somehow made, I mean, you use all these big lingos and big words in the process, and somehow you get scared. I mean, you don't know how it's gonna take place, but this has somehow made it so much simpler that someone who's not from a technical background will be still be able to do it.
Yes, absolutely. I think we got to demystify the whole concept of NFTs and DAOs or anything on the blockchain, because one is, first of all, there is so little resources, and two is it's such a beautiful sort of technology. It should not be lost on people. It's got to be made simple. Just like today, when you use a Wix, you really don't know, doesn't matter if it's got PHP, JavaScript, or whatever the RABMS in the backend, right? So that's really where we need to get to, I suppose.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I
yeah,
have the website link here in the chat for the ones who wants.
Yeah, if anybody wants to use the platform, please go ahead. It's now open, so you can create. If you have any questions, just reach out as well. That's perfectly fine. Yeah.
Well, is there any more questions? Well, it's live streaming, so if people has more questions, you can leave it in the chat on social medias or contacting Divya.
Yeah, and Divya, if you could share the few links which you mentioned, which would help the members in terms of minting and the whole process.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a few articles that I've written. I'll share that with you, and we also have some tutorials as well. I'll share that with you as well.
Yeah, that would be very resourceful.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you can make this entire process very physical. Like it can be like a physical card. So we use these same engine, but you can see these cards, right? These are actually, we cut them out as individual cards. They have a QR code in the back. So let me just pause, stop sharing. I can show you how we do that as well. That could be really interesting. So we have these QR. Oh, the thing is really bad. So okay, yeah, you can see that you have these QR codes in the back. So individuals can be given away these cards, and then they can just simply scan this and they can be part of the community, or it could be part of an experience. So that's another very powerful sort of piece that we have. It's called community engagement, audience engagement, which is very similar, no different. But after putting it on the IPFS, you also can print out these cards and give it away to your community.
That's a really interesting idea.
Yeah.
I mean, somehow so much quicker with your phone. You just scan the barcode and you're part of a community.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you say, oh, you go download it here. No, you just give, as you're walking down, you're having a gathering, you're walking down, say, hey, here it is. And now there's a lot of free mint anyways. So this is a great way to build a community. Just walk around the room and just, share your card with them. And also in many ways, it's like a visiting card, maybe even, because it's your community, it's your project, and no better way to showcase it than that.
And you have that art thing as a, name card. I mean, rather than a simple, just a name card with the name, you have a art, like a nice piece of it.
Yeah, let me just show you. It's the same art engine. There's no difference with the art engine, but I can just quickly show it to you. It's the same process. Nothing changes there, but as you can see here, right? After everything is done, after it's put on the blockchain, it prints out the cards like this. There you go. So it's got the back and the front. So even if you have a home printer, you can do it. Or even just, I mean, I printed this using a home printer and not slightly, using slightly high-end printer, but they're so inexpensive and compared to what we would think it's very expensive. It's really not that expensive. Or you can always go to a printer. Once you have these pages done, right, you can just take it to the local printer and get it done. And it's also it's like a little art and craft project. I've quite
Yeah.
enjoyed it as an art and craft project. Yeah.
But somehow
that's
looks
so
super
cool.
cool. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have it, someone is definitely gonna ask you what is this about, and just be interested by looking at the art.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, I completely get it. I was recently at the House of Lords, and we gave, phygital NFTs. And the thing was, the picture, the image had two Big Bens to kind of bring to and draw the attention that we live in a very sort of a world where both the worlds are coming together, that is the phygital and the digital. And so that was very well received, and it is a talking point in many ways. And I think it's really a nice way to introduce NFTs to an entire population who would not otherwise kind of take it on.
Definitely. I mean, this is the first time I'm checking this out, and I really love the concept and the idea behind this. And it's such a nice icebreaker when you're going around the room and talking to people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's way better than telling them about your website and they have to go and type it and then they go and check it. But it's like you just scan it with your phone and you are in the website.
Community, exactly, in the community. That's it. And you do the same steps, no different. The same steps. All you do is, after you go through the same steps using this creator audience, and at the end of the whole process, right, the same steps, as you can see, you can also have a banner in the back end if that's what you want. And once that is done, not only does it put in the IPFS and creates a contract, you also get a printable sheet like this, which is just exciting. And not only that, we can actually give rewards as well. So let's say for a particular trade, and for a particular type of for a particular trade value, right? So if it's got, let's say, like a orange sort of background, and it's the background. So you say background equal to orange background, you get, say, a 10% discount on something or something like that. You can even further sort of gamify it if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's,
interesting. Cool.
yes, sort of like a name intro when you're giving them a coupon discount or something. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Good. So,
I mean, thank you so much, Barbie, for joining us. And thank you so much, Divya, for hosting this piece. I mean, the workshop, it was really resourceful. And somehow, after hearing like how difficult it is to, or how technical it is to create art or generate NFTs, this is such a simplified process that even as an artist who doesn't know much about it, it's a nice process for them, and they know that they don't need to be scared about creating NFTs or generating the art or anything PFP. And this is such a simplified process, which you explained so well.
Great. Yeah, I'm glad, because this is
Hi.
the whole point. It was all about art. NFTs is all about the art and artists. And I felt like they were disenfranchised, like they were not getting the due. So that was the whole point,
Yeah.
exercise of building out this platform.
Yeah, because you see so many artists, they have the art, they have the talent, but they are so clueless on how to start, whom to approach in the space, and how many people do they need to make sure that the NFT collection gets launched, or DAO gets launched, or PFP, or anything. But this is so nice. I mean, it's a really good way for them to be actually part and they understand what's happening exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Divya. Thanks, Tivani. And yeah, it was amazing, and hope to see you again.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah,
Thank
take
you,
care.
Thousand Faces, for hosting this, and thank you, Divya, once again.
Yeah. Thank you, Thousand
Thank you
Faces, for
so
hosting it.
much.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
Take care then. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye, everyone. Bye, Bobby. Thank